Hey guys, what is cracking? It's Krakenation here, and I am coming at you guys with your Week 2 power rankings. Guys, it was another very awesome week. We had every single battle played. Good job to all you guys. I'm really excited to see it, and that means you are getting your power rankings video. We're going to be taking a look at how all of you did, doing a quick recap of your battles, what I think you guys can maybe improve on, just a little feedback. Put you guys in an order. Again, just to want to be clear about this, grain of salt with everything. Obviously, it's only a 2-week sample size we're looking at. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Also, if you think you're too low, definitely, I do not want to feel like I'm crapping on anyone here. I want you to prove me wrong. If you feel like you're one of the guys in the lower rankings and you deserve to be better, you probably do, and you should go out and earn it next week. I would love nothing more than to see some big shakeups moving forward. With that said, just please, don't take it too personally. I'm going to try to give constructive feedback, especially to those power ranked lower. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. It's not my intent. We're just going to be given a fair, honest assessment and seeing how these players can hopefully improve and turn around their seasons, or vice versa, how they can keep their seasons going if they're a team that's maybe rattled off a couple wins. I put in a lot of work to these. Obviously, they are my own subjective feeling. If you feel differently, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you think I got wrong, I got right, what you think your rank or someone else's rank should be. I want to hear all about it in the comment section down below. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. Coming in at number 16, we've got the Po Town Nickit, coached by ButterSnap. Again, this kind of pains me because I've known this person for James Sanity, also ButterSnap, for quite a while, so it hurts my heart to have to put him at number 16. Unfortunately, I just feel like he got really overwhelmed from the jump. Definitely was just a tough game for him. It was just kind of absolutely just never really felt like the game was that all too close. I have all the replays pulled up here as well, and just kind of right off the bat, 15 shot was just able to grab a lot of momentum, so that really quickly put ButterSnap on the back foot. I think just some feedback to try to hopefully improve how these games go is that this is a tough team to do this against, but in a situation like this where the team is switching a lot, the best thing you can do to punish teams that are making a lot of these kinds of switches is to make middle ground plays. So that's not necessarily attacking what's in front of you as hard as you possibly can, but that's something that might be able to, do, let's say, 40% of the thing in front of you and 40% of the thing that comes in next. So let's say, for example, he's got the Slowbro coming in. He's playing against the Slowbro here. He's got his Muck, and he clicks Knockoff, which is usually a pretty safe move, but just in general, like, let's say the Florges, he's got Moonblast or whatever. If when Cinderace comes in, he can, instead of clicking Moonblast, maybe click Toxic or something of that nature, where you click the move that hits both the Pokemon in front of you and the Pokemon that comes in next. Just something of that nature, something to think about. A lot of times the Pokemon that comes in will resist the move that you are expected to attack. So if your Water type is in on a Fire type, your opponent will probably switch, let's say, to a Grass type. Keep it basic. So what's something that hits both Fire and Grass neutrally? Maybe your Water type has a coverage move like a Thunderbolt, or maybe it's got like a Draco, I don't know. So, just a coverage move that hits both of those Pokemon pretty hard. Or you can make the middle ground play. Maybe you got like Stealth Rocks or a pivot option, or maybe you've got like Toxic. These kinds of middle ground plays where you're not really getting punished don't necessarily win you the game, but they keep you in it and kind of just chip away over time. And that could be a really big benefit to a team like this, to hopefully, in a match like this where you're playing in so many switches. But I also want to say that I think ButterSnap played a little passively later in the game and tried to just play to reduce differential, which I understand, in the grand scheme of things can be a viable strategy. But if you are going to try to win some games here, I think once you're down pretty far, it's really important to play aggressively rather than safely. You're not in a position in the late game to play safely if you are very far behind. So it might have been worth, trying to play a little bit more aggressively around some switches, maybe some aggressive doubles. It might look like you're doing and throwing the game at a certain point, but eventually, like, if your only way to win is by crazy things happening, then you better play around those crazy things happening or try to play to them. So that's just my advice there. I think ButterSnap can definitely turn this season around still very early. I'm really hoping he's able to rattle off some wins here. I'm hoping some of the advice I gave him today will hopefully help him do that. Next up, again, another one that pained me to put this low. It's going to be Nashville Nidokings. Honestly, guys, pretty much right off the bat, most of these people in the lower half of this were so hard to rank because I thought, honestly, a lot of people played really well. We had a pretty hacks-determined week, so this was tough, dog. This was really tough. I thought this Ant played pretty well in the early game, played well enough to keep himself right in the thick of it. So I was pretty impressed by that. Don't want to take too much credit away from him for that because he played pretty tough, played Noah pretty tough early. He made some obvious plays in the mid game that got punished pretty hard. Just felt like there was like some pretty obvious substitutes, things like that of that nature. Now there were like a rock slide miss, but there's also some hacks going the other way. So it kind of went, this is a pretty hacksy match, so it's hard to say for sure. But I also want to just mention that he didn't bring a ground type against a team with Reggie Elecki, which is pretty sus. And so I definitely feel like that could have been something that that could have been improved on a prep level. Because he does have a Swampert, which would have been a decent answer, although maybe it's not the best. I don't even know. Does Reggie Lucky get Energy Ball? Let's look this up real quick. I think it might. So then Swampert's not an option, right? Let's take a look. No, it does not. So, yeah, you could have brought Swampert to try to answer that. So definitely had an option there. Even bringing some more resistances to it would have probably been ideal. I think his only resistance was Ninetales. Was Electros, so didn't really even play around it with that. Furthermore, I think he just made some misplays in the late game, which kind of really what I deducted points for. Like, he should have gone into Ninetales a little later when it still and kept its health alive to take on things a little bit later. Might have not necessarily won the game, but probably could have reduced some differential. Instead, he brought Armaldo out. Brought Ninetales out a little early. And instead of bringing Armaldo in first, and that put him in a kind of precarious situation where he wasn't really playing optimally in the late game. But overall, again, I thought he played pretty well early. I hope he can try to capitalize on some momentum here. Again, it's still early in the season, so we can definitely try to hope things turn around for him moving forward. Coming in at number 14, we've got the Detroit Fletchlings, coached by Jigglypigs. Played a risky turn 1 and got brutally punished with the dead Mega Nancy. That's something I'm not going to deduct too many points for overall. Again, this is just a team that I thought got unlucky with some hacks, and like a lot of these teams, and played pretty well overall. So I was in a really hard spot where I was like having a tough time ranking some of these teams. So I was like, man, a lot of these people all played pretty well. There was a lot of games determined by hacks, so I didn't want to I had a really hard time ranking some of these lower teams that lost to hacks, because it's like, well, how much did the hacks matter? It's hard for me to know without knowing both teams, without knowing where both players' heads were at. I can't do infinite research. I don't have unlimited time. So I did my best here, but again, this is a team that I think could easily move up a ton and could definitely win some games this season. I just want to give him credit. Made some great reads with things like Earthquake on Metagross. Just some really, really good plays overall. Don't want to deduct too many points, but just overall, some things to improve on for sure. Definitely think Jigglypigs can turn the season around. I'm not worried at all. Forfeit loss week 1 obviously kind of hurts the case, but I think just overall, I definitely feel confident in this team and getting some wins, and definitely don't think I would not be surprised at all if Jigglypigs end up making the playoffs. Played really good team overall. Played pretty darn well for the number 14. I don't know. I was struggling so much. Someone had to be number 14, so I was really struggling. I don't want to be too much of a downer. I think Jigglypigs played pretty darn well. Coming in at number 13, we've got the Buffalo Salandits, another one of these teams that just kind of you're not sure how much hacks may have influenced the match. Dragapult missed the Draco Meteor here, which was definitely pretty tough. I think Pickle Nugget played pretty well overall. Definitely was pretty impressed. But I think the webs being on the field for so long kind of really impacted things like Keldeo. So definitely bringing some clears in the future, or at least getting it off if you have it, might be able to make a bigger difference. That it's hard for me to say, like I said, that how much the Draco miss affected the match. I'm guessing it was a pretty big deal, so I didn't deduct too many points for the loss here. I loved the Trapinch spring. Credit where credit is due, right? So that Trapinch put in as much work as you can reasonably ask of from a Trapinch. So that was pretty excited to see. Definitely respect the style points there. Again, this is a team that may be 0-2 now, but I definitely expect to rattle off a few wins here or there somewhere in the season, and would not be shocked at all to see make the playoffs later on. Coming at number 12, we've got Jutun and the Vancouver Golducks. So this is another team. I just hate this because we had a very hacksy week, guys. Played pretty well overall. I think forgetting the prankster interaction on Klefki was pretty huge. So gonna have to be careful of that in the future. And also some hacks obviously sealed his fate. His chance to come back was kind of nullified by the prankster, but he probably would have been in the driver's seat of the match if that hack hadn't influenced him like that. But just in general, there are still some things Jutun can improve on for sure. He let his biggest threats get weakened really early, and so like things like Landorus and Nidoqueen got weakened super early in the match, and those are going to be really important as the match went on. He made some really good plays in the mid game to keep competitive, and I really respected that. He made some really great reads, some great predictions. But just overall, not enough to mount the comeback, and just got to make sure to not make those little mental errors. Hacks sucks, but would like to see, I said this about a few other people, but just try to play in a way that mitigates the effect of hacks as much as possible. It's not always easily said. I'm a person that gets massively tilted by hacks, as many people know, so I cannot fault Jutun too much. Again, this is a team that I think is going to get plenty of wins this season. I like this draft a lot. I'm excited to see where it goes. I am not worried about Jutun in the slightest. I think this could have very easily been a win against Iceman. Just didn't happen to work out that way this week. I think he's going to get some wins in the future. I'm not too worried. But just another one of these games where there was hacks and I didn't know where to put people. This bottom half is so sloppy. You could have just pick a number between 10 and 16 and just you might be there. I don't know. Coming in at number 11, we've got the North York Yampers, coached by Lewis. Overall, I thought he did a really good job punishing some of Jutun's more passive switches, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Jutun kind of let a lot of his Pokemon get whittled down. He made a really gutsy play against Zeraora that iced the game when he stayed in with Sylveon. You gotta love to see it when those gutsy plays pay off. He clicked the Hyper Voice. He didn't switch out, and clicked Wish and put Zeraora on the back foot there. But he was the beneficiary of a few lucky breaks. So I had a hard time, giving him too much boost upwards just from that win. So that's why he's here at number 11. Again, so many hacks affected games this week, which is not what you want to see necessarily. But overall, just a pretty good job. Rock solid. I definitely think Lewis is going to get off a few more wins this season. Coming in at number 10. Sorry. We've got the Resort City Marshadows, coached by Free. Free had a really awesome win last week, and that put him in the top half of the power rankings. Unfortunately, he slips down a little bit this week. This game was really close early for a long time, but kind of got away from him towards the middle as his threats got heavily worn down throughout the course of the match. And kind of on that note, he needs to work on preserving them. Things like Rillaboom and Volcarona and Kyurem are really, really offensively threatening and will put a lot of pressure on your opponent to play a certain way. I think if Free can find the balance between playing aggressively and recklessly with an offensive team such as this, that's going to give him a huge boost in his win columns. I thought the huge credits to the Transform U set. That was super cool. Really interesting, and I thought, kind of played some good mind games with it there. Overall, a very, very close game. I think maybe closer than the differential spoke to. It was really close for a long time, and I just think as Free kind of let his most powerful offensive Pokemon get whittled down without doing a lot of damage back, he kind of put him on the back foot in the mid game, and that was hard for him to recover from. You guys already saw it, but coming in at number 9, we've got the Seattle Sigilyph, coached by ashingSceptil. I'm really proud of this win for him. He bounced back really nicely from last week. Found his opportunities and took advantage, hit hard and played aggressively. Just overall, played offense really well. Pedals of the metal like last week. Really good to see that. Oricorio was a really cool Pokemon that I was really excited to see that I've never seen used before in competitive draft format. So awesome. He did benefit from hacks, which means he's not quite as high as maybe somebody who didn't have a Haxier win. But again, still played it well overall. I don't want to deduct too many points. He does move up in this week's rankings to number 9. And I think he'll definitely be able to move up a little bit more. He got a good win here. He played his Pokemon really well. And unfortunately was also just the beneficiary of some hacks, which may have influenced the final outcome a little bit. But again, just played really well. I thought he played... He's got a pretty offensive team, and he knows it. He at least the team he brought was pretty offensive, and he played into it, which is always going to be a good thing. If the way you're playing stylistically and the team you brought match up, that's going to be a good thing. Coming in at number 8, we've got the Cincinnati Splosions, coached by 15 Chacho, with a huge upwards trajectory here. Huge bounce back win. Absolutely dominated this week against the Po-Town Nickit. Just awesome to see what this team could do when fully going. I'm a little worried about what this team is going to be like against when it starts having to play some good bulky waters in the future, but overall it's a really, really good performance here. He did a really, really good job making the reads, making the switches, the middle ground plays that a team like this needs to make. Again, this Cinderace just proves time and time again to be a devastating threat for this team. But what was also really cool was he used that Slowbro really, really well, and also the Fortress actually for a while to have some defensive potential, demonstrate that, and outlast his opponent's Sand, for example, outlast his opponent's there's something else. The Slowbro also was toxing things, outlasting things. It was really cool to see that. I thought that was really, really effective, and then helped him stall out his opponent's momentum while he got some back of his own. So that was always great to see. Really huge bounce back win. Awesome. just awesome job this week. Huge jump up for that reason. And again, another team I'm pretty high on this season. I think maybe a little bit of a free agent to address when this team starts running some bulky waters that are actually good. I think it's going to be a little tougher. So that would be my one suggestion to 15 Chachas. You might want to keep an eye out for things that are going to be bulky waters. Coming in at number 7, we've got Iris Mew, coach of the District Darmanitans. Iris Mew unfortunately fell behind and had a rather hard time getting back into the game. Inverse is obviously a really good player, so I didn't take too many points away. But just gonna be when you're in that position, you're always gonna have a tough time if you fall behind early with an offensive team such as this. That's just gonna put you on the back foot nonstop every single week. And then he made some ill-advised plays. I think trying to set the extra drill up too early. That's the tough thing about this is like you want to use it as a mid-game breaker. I understand that. Just it didn't seem to work out super well because there were still some Pokemon that were clearly going to be a really big problem for Excadrill trying to sweep, and that just kind of made it sweep half-hearted, But he did show some really cool things like Magnet Rise that helped reduce the differential. I was really impressed by that. So just some cool tech moves. Love to see that. Didn't deduct too many points here. He's still top half for sure. Overall, well played. Just need to kind of work on seeing that week 1 offensive execution that we saw before, keeping consistent with that, and I think we'll see Iris Mew right back near the top of the power rankings. Coming in at number 6, we've got the Castelia Shifus, coached by Destiny. I love this draft. I've already talked about that, but I think this is a week where we had a bit of a drop-off here because he struggled to out-pivot Entei. Did manage to get back in the match at certain points, so I don't want to take away too much. It was a close, hard-fought game, but ultimately found himself unable to break through Arcanine. He didn't really bring a team after Mega Blastoise that could really break through. It seemed like Garchomp went down pretty quick. So just overall need to make sure you're breaking through the Pokemon you need to break through. It's hard for me to discredit too much because he did bring those mons, but I just feel like Arcanine quickly became unstoppable for this team, and because it could pivot out and whatnot, it was just really, really problematic. Showed off some very cool tech like Whirlpool Garchomp. Would have liked to seen it work a little bit better. Again, this is one of those examples where if you're going to bring the tech, you want to make sure... it's not always going to work exactly how you want it to, obviously, but I would have liked to see something that interesting work a little bit better. I worry a little bit that you're bringing heat for the sake of heat rather than because it's effective. So you're going to want to be careful of that. That you're bringing... I talked about this last week, I think, with Free, but... being unpredictable for the sake of unpredictability is not a good idea. Being unpredictable because your opponent won't expect how effective it's going to be is good. So you want to make sure you're not just bringing suboptimal sets just to be unpredictable is what I'm trying to get at. But again, another team still overall positive, has the +3 differential, definitely has a chance to rise back up. Coming in at number 5. Oh, nope. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Chicago Bewears, coached by Strokefish Noah. He missed some hacks. Again, this was another. He beat Ant in a pretty hacksy match overall, but poor reads in the early game also put him at a quick deficit. But he did erase it pretty handily. He remained unfazed and just kept the pressure up on Ant, who let his Pokemon get whittled down, and ultimately executed a win with hacks a little more in his favor. Could have been a bit wider. It's a really solid win overall. Not much to say. It was pretty close in the final scoreboard, but like I said, I think this could have been a bit wider with a few more non-lucky breaks. If he was unlucky a few of those times. But again, also some poor reads early, so definitely some stuff to improve on still. I think Ant also, kind of brought a suboptimal team, so I feel hesitant to move this team any higher than this. Things like the Regieleki were just not prepared for properly, so there's that. You guys already saw it. I need to be more careful, but coming in at number 4 is the Ottawa Lampents, coached by Word of the Day is Yay. And that is correct because Word of the Day is 2-0, made a great aggressive play on turn 1 to immediately set the tone for this match. Jigglypigs was completely caught off guard. Now both teams kind of just went for it all out. The Mega Diancie going down turn 1 is never what you want to see, but it worked out. So for what it's worth, pretty solid by Word of the Day with the fast Heatran. He demonstrated great tech with things like Ice Beam Audino to hit the Zygarde. Again, that was a fantastic move. That's kind of more of the example of being unpredictable because it's going to be good and not just because it's unpredictable, right? So that was really good tech there, and that's why I was very impressed by this. Now, unfortunately, there were some wins I was a little bit more impressed by, namely because he was a beneficiary of some hacks here, which always makes it kind of tough. Jigglypigs did get a little bit unlucky here, so I don't want to take too much I don't want to be too high on this team just yet, but again, top 4 ranking for sure. Played really well overall, made some great aggressive plays, pretty offensive match, love to see that. Again, top 4 team for sure. We'll probably have a very successful season. Just want to not get too high when there was some hacks involved. Now, I think my top 3 are definitely a notch above. I was pretty confident in my top 3. Number 3 is going to be Unit 97, swapping spots with the Ottawa Lampens. You know what? Unit just played really, really well, taking advantage of the holes in Free's prep. And just like I talked about with Free, he kind of let his Pokemon get worn down. And so that's exactly what that playstyle does. When you make the middle ground plays that you need to make to preserve momentum, you just constantly let things just constantly get worn down and worn down. And he, like, that put him in a situation where he was really, really effectively able to clean up with Mega Aerodactyl. It just worked really, really well. I thought just really punished the holes in Free's game, played well when he needed to, made the middle ground plays when he could, and just really wore it down and then cleaned it up. It's a really rock solid win. Easy number 3 for me. Was really proud of this one. Really nice job by Unit. Definitely going to have a strong season here. Not much to say besides that. Just really efficient game. Coming in at number 2, we've got Dan, coach of the Syracuse Sylveons. You guys know the boy, entertainment. He again made some small mistakes in prep, but managed to play really well and bring it back with fantastic execution. So I didn't deduct too many points for small mistakes in prep because I was just ridiculously impressed by how well he played. He used his built-in defensive core to perfection, seamlessly transitioning into the offense when the window opened up, but also just keeping that defensive. That Arcanine, man, was tough for Destiny to break through. That was really brutal for Destiny. I was very impressed by that. That was really awesome to see. Just overall, you know, another big jump up here because the way that a team like this, again, absolutely whack draft order. Hate it. But he got good mons later. I don't understand what's going on. It worked. It's working out for him because he was able to just bring in offense, bring in defense. It was working out phenomenally. I was very impressed. And then bonus points for being the nickname game being as strong as ever. If you guys haven't checked, I think Dan, I would say, has the best nickname game in the league, and until someone proves me otherwise, I will remain that. I think Dan's got super strong nickname game. Everyone else, take notes. Coming in at number 1, again though, for the second week in a row, will be the Air Force Corviknights, coached by Inversify. Hard to take anything away from this guy. He was number 1 last week, and he just put another clinic on display. Good reads early, quickly put him on the driver's seat for the rest of the game. He beat a really good opponent in Iris Mew, so I was really impressed. Good reads early, quickly put him in the front, like I said, and then he kept using the momentum-grabbing moves through the remainder of the match to stay ahead. Never really gave Iris a chance to get back in, and then once it was in the late game, he executed his win conditions well. Boom, 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 Zam cleaned up. You were basically in business. It was pretty much a one-sided affair, honestly. Hard to... It was only 3-0 in differential, but I felt like overall he just played it really well. There's not much to say. I just think there's another one of those games where, you know, he's just got a really good team. He knows how to use it, and he's going to be able to steamroll some people. Iris New definitely didn't execute things exactly correct to beat a team like this, but just it felt like from the entire time Iris New was trying to like crawl back into it, and Inverse was kind of one step ahead. Things like Landorus just put on so much offensive pressure for so long, wore down the entire team. He sacked Mons off when he needed to. And he even had he was even unlucky with a little bit of hacks here and there. So he's a good sport about it, though. I was pretty impressed. Again, just in the late game, Zam just cleaned up and also Thunderous, I guess, to a lesser extent. But just really well done. Easy number 1. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about these rankings, what you agree, disagree with in comment section down below. And until next time, I will see all of you guys later. Krakenation out.